Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on this Tuesday?
I'm doing good. Didn't do so great over this past weekend and Saturday and Christmas picking the games, but still wound up with a winning record, but not by much.
You have extended your gap, I think. You know, we'll do the final count at the very end, but I do think you did earn the crown for win-loss this season. And with the way that my bets have been going, point spread is still up for grabs for you. So you may go clean sweep right now on me, completely wipe the board of me. There's a chance, a legitimate chance that you could do that. But we got a lot to talk about for today's show. Week 17, there was a lot going on. 1 seeds, the Bears out of the 1 seed. The Rams out of the 1 seed with the big-time loss to the Falcons. And the Bucs, they need the Falcons. They could win the game. If the Falcons win, I believe the Panthers are in anyway. So they desperately need the Falcons to lose, and obviously they need to win, which they've been unable to do for like the last couple of weeks. So it's been crazy. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. Absolutely, I do want to start off with this topic for today's show because there's a lot of news. Early in the season, we talked about it when they couldn't win a game. It looked really, really bad. And let's talk about Aaron Glenn because a recent report by Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated says that regardless of the, back and forth reporting between his job is safe, his job's not safe, it appears as if Woody Johnson is going to retain not only the general manager of the New York Jets, but also head coach Aaron Glenn. He will be returning for 2026. Now, obviously, things could change drastically, but that is what Albert Breer is hearing so far. So my question to you is this a good or a bad move to keep Aaron Glenn for at least week 1 of next year?
Well, I think if they keep him, it's going to be for more than just week 1 next year. But as I understand it, the Jets fans and Johnsons are opposed to firing Glenn at the end of this year. And I think they're making a mistake by doing that. The team got worse this year, especially on defense, and that's Glenn's specialty. I mean, you could argue this is the worst Jets team in many, many years, going back to Rich Kotite back in 1996. That's
a pull.
This is bad. I mean, I watched some of those games back then. The Jets have more talent then than they have now, and they've regressed. They haven't gotten better. Where can you point to an area where the Jets have gotten better this year? They had a good defense last year until they fired Robert Saleh. And it's just gone downhill from there, and he didn't resurrect it. And that's his specialty, so that's on him, that one. There's been a benefit over the years for one-and-done coaches. Other teams have benefited a lot from it. Look at the Patriots. They fired Drake Maye after 1 season, and they could be the AFC 1 seed. So, and there are 8 coaches that have been fired after 1 season and have gone on and not gone on to success elsewhere. I think that's there's a fear that Aaron Glenn might get fired here and then go on be head coach and be a big winner somewhere else. I don't think so. So those coaches are Freddie Kitchens. He was with the Browns in 2019. He got fired after 1 year. Nathaniel Hackett, the Broncos in 2022. He got fired. Antonio Pierce of the Raiders in 2024, 1 year and done. Lovie Smith with the Texans in 2022. And then David Colley with the Texans the year before. They had two coaches. They did one and done before they wound up with D'Amico Ryans, and that was a smart move. Frank Wright with the Panthers, 2023, one and done. Dave Canales. That's been an improvement. Urban Meyer with the Jags, 2021. They now have Liam Cohen. There's between that was Doug Peterson. But obviously that was the move in the right direction. Steve Wilkes with the Cardinals. He happened to be the Jets' defensive coordinator who was just canned. He was with the Cardinals in 2018. He was gone. And Aaron Glenn this year, whether he stays or goes remains to be seen. But one of the factors that I saw related to these 8 coaches was their point differential adjusted for strength of schedule. Freddie Kitchens was 1.9 negative. Nathaniel Hackett, -5. Antonio Pierce, -6.4. Lovie Smith, -8.5. David Colley, -9.7. Frank Wright, -9.9. Urban Meyer, -11.4. Steve Wilkes, -11.5. And Aaron Glenn, -12. He's got the worst one. He has the worst factor there. The Jets routinely were out of games this year by the end of the first quarter. They weren't competitive in many of those games. They had one little stretch there where they looked like they were starting to turn it around, and now they've gone right back into the dumpster. The only plus there is, they're going to get a very high draft pick. They got to take a quarterback, right? And there's probably three legit quarterbacks out there. Was it the guy from Oregon, the guy from Alabama, and the guy from Indiana? Those 3 quarterbacks.
Well, you're not going to get Mendoza.
Mendoza will be gone before they get to the Jets. But the other 2 might be there. So the guy from Alabama, Simpson, he looks like he could be a good player. So they have to go for a quarterback now. And one thing I'll say about Aaron Glenn.
Okay.
When he was with Detroit, right? In the beginning, he was horrible. Yes. Okay. Their defense was awful.
Correct.
Okay. And then they resurrected it, and the Lions were close to going to a Super Bowl.
True.
With him as the defensive coordinator. So he can coach. And I think another argument for not firing him is he's a Jet, and he was with the Jets for a long period of time. He's one of them. You can make that argument about Mike Vrabel. He's a Patriot, right? He was with them during their winning season. So, to take it, firing one of your own there looks a little mean. So I think they are going to hang in there with Aaron Glenn, but he needs to recognize that the things that he needs to work on and bring in some help, bring in some advice that people, consultants that could help him with some of these areas where he's failing. And I think if he does that, maybe he can resurrect his job. But given they have all these first-round picks, and they need to really, this is their chance now. They've blown it up, and now they're in rebuild. They need to get these draft picks right. And is he the guy with the GM that can make that happen? I'm not so sure.
Well, I will say, I'll piggyback on what you said about that rating system, the Pro Football Reference simple rating system that gave Glenn a -12. That's the second worst in Jets history. Second worst. The only one that's worse is the 1976 New York Jets. So it's been a little while. It's been almost 50 years since they've been that bad. But this is the reality of the situation. Keep him, fire him, it's not going to matter. Because you see the name right there below me? Jets. The Jets are known for being a terrible franchise. The last time they were actually good was about a decade ago, 2015, which was Todd Bowles' first year as the head coach. Ryan Fitzpatrick was your quarterback. You had Brandon Marshall. You actually had a decent roster, and your defense was out of its mind. But I'll also add this. We consider Aaron Glenn a really good defensive coach, right? We would all say that. Are we sure in reality that's the case? because the Lions, these were his defensive ranks as defensive coordinator for the Lions. Let's go with total defense first, and then we'll go with scoring defense. 29th, 32nd, 19th, 20th. Now, that's total defense. Let's go points allowed. 31st, 28th, 23rd, and 7th. So, was he all that great to begin with? No. I think that he was part of this mystical unit with him, Ben Johnson, and Dan Campbell that led a very good Lions team, which was known for its offensive, masterful, virtuoso plays, explosive offense thanks to Ben Johnson. And the defense, at least when I always saw it, it's kind of like the Buccaneers with Brady. The defense was really good at one thing. But, the other thing was, it was the worst part of his defense. The passing defense for Aaron Glenn, he's never been able to figure out. 24th, 30th, 27th, 30th. That's with the Lions. He was never able to figure out whatsoever how to figure out a passing defense. Running defense, it's not great, but he had 2 years in the top 5. So you can say he improved in something. But then this year, he regrets to the first 2 years of rushing defense, which he had with the Detroit Lions. The Jets were 27th this year, his first 2 years as DC of the Lions, 28th and 29th in rushing defense. So, again, he said, by the way, and we talked about this all the way back in, I think, April. I loved his opening press conference. He wasn't talking about playoffs. Let's focus on this season and the here and now. Perfect. You know why? Again, the name right here, the New York Jets. The expectations is you had Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Glenn kicked them out of there, but you're the New York Jets. You're not going very far at all. I will say, though, this is what's interesting. Firing him won't do anything. Keeping him won't change really anything, in my opinion. You know why? You have a roster that is where your draft pick is, a bottom 3 roster in the NFL. If you fire Aaron Glenn, and this is why I think it's a little bit different than what the Patriots did with Drake Maye, because who is the Mike Vrabel that the Jets could go out and get? They fired Drake Maye, and I guarantee you, if Mike Vrabel wasn't in the coaching realm and Ben Johnson was already on the Bears and whatnot, and Liam Cohen, let's say Mike Vrabel just was hired by a different team. The Patriots 100% would have stuck with Drake Maye. 100%. When has Robert Kraft ever fired a homegrown player like Drake Maye and a first-year head coach? Never heard of before. So, in my opinion, based on the way Robert Kraft reacted to firing Drake Maye, he would have kept him if Mike Vrabel wasn't out there. Because how the hell do you let Mike Vrabel, how do you fire Mike Vrabel? He led the Titans to the number 1 seed in the AFC, and a few years later, he's getting fired. Maybe it's the Titans. Look at them now. So I think for the Jets, it doesn't really matter. You had a bunch of players on IR this year. You traded away some of your best guys, the best running back you've had in several years. You demanded a trade at the trade deadline. Garrett Wilson has nobody to help him out. You signed Justin Fields on a 2-year, $40 million deal. He can't throw the football. He's had games of 11 attempts, 16 attempts, and he only completes half of them. Tyrod Taylor led this offense significantly better. And you ended up with undrafted rookie free agent Brady Cook as your starting quarterback. So right now, the Jets are a lose-lose situation. You can't go in and be like, okay, 1 year, you have to fix this entire system. I mean, if we were being honest here, this is a little stat that I found. Of the 17 head coaches to start 0-6 since the 1980 season, only 4 of them have made the playoffs with that same team. Now, that's 23.5%. You got to cut that down by about another, you have to bring that down to the single digits because you're coaching the New York Jets. The Jets haven't won a playoff game in forever. They haven't even sniffed a Super Bowl since 2010 when they, were one play away, or 2011, where they won, 2010, I believe, one play away from beating the Steelers in the AFC Championship game, led by Mark Sanchez and Rex Ryan. Like, yes, is there a culture? He wants to, instill a physicality culture. You have nobody. That's great. But who are you working with? There's nobody you're working with. You're stuck with, fourth stringers, undrafted guys, bad draft picks. You're stuck with, and by the way, I said this initially. I've been on this. Your starting cornerback once you traded Sauce Gardner was Brandon Stevens, and I've said this before. You go back last year. Watch any team against the Ravens. If there's a wide open receiver, you check who covered him. It's probably Brandon Stevens. And he got the first game of the year. Calvin Austin was cooking Brandon Stevens. They had to go get Marquez Valdez-Scantling because they just don't have any receivers, the Steelers. So, to me, it's a lose-lose regardless. You don't have another Mike Vrabel. You don't have, another phenomenal coach that's out there that you could, swap with Aaron Glenn. I just think that you trade away everybody. This is a team that, it seems like the Jets have been in a rebuild forever, but you got somehow worse. And you were already a top 3 pick in the draft.
You don't think there are any other coaches out there that could come in and do something for the Jets? What about Mike McCarthy?
Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys let him go after he won 3 straight 12-win seasons. Dak Prescott gets injured. You're stuck with Cooper Rush, and you end up firing Mike McCarthy.
It was a mistake. They never should have done
He
that.
wanted an extension. Jerry Jones wouldn't give it to him.
Yeah.
And supposedly it was based on the length of his contract.
He is out there. He's taking a year off, and now he probably wants to come back. I think he's either he's probably going to the Giants. It's probably the Giants going to be their next coach.
I don't know if I like that. We'll get into that, I'm sure, later in the offseason. I don't know if I like that.
I think there are some people out there that could come in and do something for the Jets. I think Aaron Glenn, I don't think he's in a lot of. I'm listening to the sports radio talk shows, New York.
Yeah,
he's in over his head. That's the biggest thing, and he doesn't know how to bring people in to help him, and that's an issue. He fired his defensive coordinator.
Wilkes, yep.
And that's his strength, the defensive side of the ball. Right. I will say your numbers there on the defense. Those numbers, all the numbers don't tell the whole story. The Lions had a stretch there where almost everybody was knocked out, right? And he managed to keep it together, and that was the year they did go to the NFC Championship game, didn't they?
Not when they had their best scoring defense during Aaron Glenn's tenure. That would be 2023.
Okay.
Not last year.
But the year, was it last year they had so many injuries?
Yes, last year they had.
And I think he did a very good job.
Well, actually, they've banged up this year too.
Yeah, but
they've been banged up several years.
When your first starters are all knocked out, and you bring in all these second string guys, third string guys, and they still play in a cohesive way, you got to give some credit to the coaching. And that, I think on that one, you do give Aaron Glenn some credit. But what happened this year is beyond me. I think they had a stretch where their defense started to play better, and then it just fell apart again. I don't know. I think they're wise to be losing these games at the end here, so they do have a shot at drafting one of the better quarterbacks. So that's what their first draft pick ought to be. It's the first time they get a chance, draft a quarterback. They've got to do that. They have to try to find somebody. They haven't had a quarterback in so long. Really, you could say going back to Joe Namath. It's 1968.
Yep. Super Bowl III.
That's a long time ago.
We're on Super Bowl 60.
Really, you look at the long string of quarterbacks, people that nobody would ever remember or know their name that have played for the Jets and not done anything.
Chris
They
Streveler,
need to get
Christian
a
Hackenberg,
quarterback.
Geno Smith.
You need to get a quarterback who you can build around, that has the talent to be the future.
Mm-hmm.
Please find that one. Draft. Do that. If you could just draft one player that would be that you could build around as a quarterback, that would be a win for. Even if you're lousy again next year, if it shows that this guy you draft has the talent to be the franchise quarterback, that would be a win. They got to do that.
Jackson Dart. Are you talking about like that kind of guy who comes in and all of a sudden there's life?
I don't know. They're talking about, you know what? The Giants, I think they blew the first round
they did.
draft pick. Now they went out and won a game. That was a huge mistake. They handed the first round pick probably to the Raiders.
Yeah, it's to the Raiders.
Who will take this, who's the guy?
Fernando Mendoza.
Mendoza.
Yeah.
They were saying if the Giants got the first round pick, draft Mendoza and trade Dart.
Right.
I don't think that they're not going to do that.
I don't agree with that
at all.
They're
not going to do that.
I
think Dart is good enough to be their quarterback for a while. They should stick with him and try to. They need other pieces. They need so many other things.
Yes.
With Dart, who is with Scatterboo and Dart and Neighbors.
Yep.
You've got a little bit of a nucleus there on offense.
Correct.
Draft some guys to protect them. Get some better offensive linemen. That's been a problem for them forever. So, this is about the Jets, and we've kind of gone off and talked about the Giants. But New York football has been a disaster for a decade, more than a decade.
More than a decade.
They got to do something about it.
Yes. And I'll say this to wrap it up. You talk about bringing in a quarterback to try to change something. Look at all the successful young quarterbacks who do get drafted by certain teams and have success. There's one major difference between what the Raiders are going to do, what the Giants may do, and what the Jets might do.
What is that?
The Giants more so, I don't think they're going to draft the quarterback, so I want to take them out of it. The Raiders and the Jets. Look at the Broncos. They had everything but the quarterback. Look at the Vikings. Everything but the quarterback. Caleb Williams, 1 year, really bad. Ben Johnson, they fixed everything. They plugged a bunch of holes. Their defense is still really, really lackluster. But offensively, you had a problem with the interior offensive line. You absolutely just buy the interior of the offensive line in the offseason. What do the Jets have? Seriously. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, who does not want to be there. The offensive line's not good. I like Mason Taylor, but he's not a supreme tight end. He's not Brock Bowers. You have no wide receiver. A.D. Mitchell, the guy who just scored his first touchdown, and he's in what, year 3? Year 2? The defense. Now, the defense, who do you have? Will McDonald? And? Exactly.
I don't know. I don't know anybody on the Jets defense. They traded away their 2 best defensive players.
Right, that's my point, is you don't have anybody who you could have a quarterback and build around them. The defense is non-existent, even this year when they had Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. Non-existent. The offensive line is really, really lackluster. The running game wasn't really the same. The offense was as slow as it could possibly be. You had opportunities to win, by the way, and that's the shocking thing. The Steelers, you choked against the Steelers. You lost by 1 score to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's 2 losses by 1 score. Miami Dolphins, 1 score loss. Broncos, if you had a quarterback, you would have beaten the Denver Broncos. But Justin Fields took, what, like 9 sacks in that game, too? So that's the 4th 1-score loss. The Panthers, you lost 6-13. You beat the Bengals by 1. You beat the Browns by 1. You beat the Falcons by 3. And that's it. You've had 5. This could be an 8-9 team right now if those 1-score games just flipped.
Yeah, well, you can say that about a bunch of teams on 1-score losses.
Yeah, you can.
Right.
Last year, the Chiefs would have been, I think, 5-12 or something like that. They would have been terrible, and the Broncos would be like 15-2. But I'm just saying, like, the team is just bad. It needs to learn how to win, and the issue is,
and that goes. No, that's an excellent point. Yeah. Okay, you learn how to win by having a coach that can create a culture.
Yes.
Okay, and Aaron Glenn is somebody who is a Jets. I'm not going to call him a legend, but he is somebody that is revered in Jets history, right. Okay? So he is somebody that could potentially build a culture, but he hasn't been able to. I mean, at least in his first year, and maybe he doesn't know how to do that. I don't know. But look at Mike Vrabel. He built a culture in 1 year. He did it, and he leveraged his success. He leveraged his success as a player with the Patriots when they were Super Bowl winners multiple times in his career there, and he was one of their better players. And he's leveraged that into a cohesive team that is going to compete for the Super Bowl here in the playoffs. So, and they did it in 1 year.
Yeah.
So it can be done. Look at Ben Johnson. Look at the Bears last year. Now look at them now.
Yeah.
Right? It's Ben Johnson. So head coach makes a huge difference. So picking the right one is very important. Liam Cohen. Look at the Jaguars last year. Now look at them this year. In fact, the thick-headed Trevor Lawrence has actually learned their offense now, his offense, and look how good he's playing in it, right? They finally caught on to how to make it work and how to play in it, and now he looks good.
Yeah, no, he looks insane.
So, they could have a run for the Super Bowl too. So, having the guts to go one and done, to make it one and done, I think it's shown to work. It's shown to work. Sean Payton, right? He took over for Nathaniel Hackett. Look at the Broncos. Look what they've done, and look what they did when he ditched Russell Wilson, and how much that cost the team.
Yep.
In draft picks
over
and dead money,
$80
million and dead cap money.
Yep.
And now they're competing for the Super Bowl in 2 years.
Great
so
take.
The head coach makes a huge difference here. And now the Jets have the opportunity with the draft capital to do something special. They should be very careful. And I'm not sure they're doing the right thing.
Phenomenal take. Very last thing. The Jets have so many first-round picks. Do you trade them for an established quarterback, or do you take a shot at a rookie and then use other first-round picks to help build in the draft?
I would draft. I would go with the draft. I'm not sure who would be the established. The Jets have tried to bring in established quarterbacks. They brought in Brett Favre. They brought in Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yep.
And that didn't work.
Justin Fields.
They drafted Mark Sanchez, that worked for them for a little while. I would say
his first 2 years.
His first couple of years, right? They went to the AFC Championship game in both years.
And beat the Patriots to get there.
Yeah. So I think drafting, and the draft talent looks really good. So I would take one of those three quarterbacks, whichever, the best one that's left when you get to the Jets at what, number 4?
I think they're number 3 right now.
Number 3? So
top 5.
So there's going to be a good quarterback there. Take one of them.
All right. All right, we're going to take a very short break, about 30 seconds. But coming up, the weekly report. You break down every single game on, I guess, Saturday and Sunday. So we'll focus on Sunday's games. But yeah, we'll be right back after this very, very short break.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show, which is our weekly report. So throughout the NFL season, we've done this thing called the weekly report, where you give a headline and some takeaways for every single NFL game for each week. So this week is no different. Let's jump right in for week 17. We already covered Thursday's games, Christmas games. So let's jump into the Saturday games with the first one, which is Texans at Chargers. Take it away.
The Texans' defense was too much for the Chargers. The Texans' defense is playing like they want a championship. Could they be destined for a Super Bowl trip? I'm not so. I think it could happen. I mean, they sacked Justin Herbert 5 times in this game. They're the defensive leaders in yards allowed, only 273.3, and points, 16.6 per game. They held the Chargers to 16 points, which is under that average. Stroud had the 2 long TD passes in the first quarter, and the Texans really never looked back in this game. The loss ruined. I think the loss just ruined the Chargers' chances for the first number 1 seed now. They've got no running game in this one, and I guess you credit the defense for that. With Herbert, was the leading rusher, 6 for 37 yards. So I like the Texans here. I think they're playing as well as anybody in terms of their defense. Their defense is probably the best.
Yeah.
Okay, and their offense is good enough. So I think last 2 years they've made the playoffs and they've won 1 playoff game. This year they might win 2. Maybe they get to the AFC Championship game.
Well, I do think, and that's actually a perfect way to sum it up. The defense is great, and the offense, good enough. C.J. Stroud had 2 picks, had a passer rating of 80, and they ran the ball pretty ineffectively at only 3.5 yards a carry. And they put up 14 points in like 5 minutes and made Justin Herbert look really bad. I mean, I'll give credit where credit's due. The defense did everything it could against the Chargers, and Herbert tried his very best. He was getting no help.
You got to feel bad for Justin Herbert. He's had no offensive line for most of the season. He's taken a beating, as bad a beating as any quarterback in the league.
True.
And he has a broken hand. He's playing with a broken hand. He's out there running the ball with a broken hand. He's the leading rusher for the team.
Had a 28-yard run.
He's carried the team on his back. Without
100%.
him, they'd be nowhere.
100%.
Okay? And they have a chance to go deep in the playoffs too, right? They aren't going to be a 1 seed. They're not going to be a 1 seed. But they will definitely do better this round than they did last year. They were embarrassed last year.
Well, yeah, Herbert threw 4 picks against this very team.
Yeah. So I think they'll do.
Wow,
I think they will win a game. I think they will win a playoff game this year. Their defense is very good.
Wow.
The Chargers defense. I mean, they didn't.
I'm stunned, actually.
You don't think that they're going to make
Herbert
the
hasn't won a
playoffs?
playoff game, and the Chargers, that's why it's called chargering.
They have Harbaugh as their coach. I think
They had
that makes a
Harbaugh
difference.
last year too, and he threw 4 picks.
Yeah, but that was his first year.
I don't know.
I think this year, I think Herbert.
I need to
You
see
got
the
to say you
matchup.
got to give him a lot of
matchup.
credit. If he gets any kind of protection at all, watch out.
If you play, which I don't think you would, because you would need to be the 5 seed, which I believe the Texans are right now. Whoever gets the 5 seed plays any AFC North team on the road. If the Chargers play the Steelers or the Steelers or the Ravens, if they somehow leapfrog the Texans and get that 5 seed, that's the only way I'll agree with you in saying they could win a game. Otherwise, if they play the Broncos, the Patriots, no shot. The Jaguars, no shot. None. Jaguars?
Didn't the Jaguars beat them
They
2
blew
years
them out
ago?
of the,
They blew them
no,
out. And Trevor Lawrence, he was the one that brought him back in the second half.
Yeah. They were down, I think, 24-0 at one point, and the Jaguars won that game in the playoffs. This year, they blew them out of the water. I don't even think they put up double digits against the Jaguars this year. They were against the Patriots, who seemingly are on fire. The Broncos defense,
The
if they don't get the 1
Patriots.
seed.
I'm a Patriots.
Are you
fan.
about to say
I love
something
the Patriots.
negative or worrying about the Patriots?
Well, I look at their schedule.
Oh,
you know,
my
their
God.
schedule was pretty.
Oh.
Most teams would have loved to have that schedule.
The Broncos did. They have about the same margin of victory as the New England Patriots this year, but nobody's saying jack about that. You know why? Because the Broncos have issues. Bo Nix sometimes is very hot, and sometimes is very cold. The defense we saw recently by the Kansas City Chiefs, which we're
By the
not talking about.
Jaguars.
You lose. The Patriots, they have no real massive holes where you're like, do I trust that? Like running game consistency. Consistency.
Well, they lost their best run stuffer.
Well, yeah,
right?
Milton Williams, you got to get him back. But what I mean is like Travion Henderson in the running game, he could go for 65 yards like that. But he may average 2.1 yards a carry outside of that one massive run. So maybe that's a hole. But the Broncos are like, we're going to have a hot and cold Bo Nix game. He's going to go 0-6 to start the game with an interception that looked like he's a peewee football player, or is he going to go 9 for 10 for 115 yards and a touchdown in the first quarter and a half? It's hot and cold. And the defense we saw against the Jaguars get cooked. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, it had to take a game-winning touchdown drive in order for the Broncos to beat a Ludicon, or with a third-string quarterback for the Chiefs in order to beat them.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? So I don't think the Chargers win a playoff game unless they play the Steelers. The Texans, if they play good offense, they can make a very deep
playoff.
playoff run.
We'll get
Steelers
to the
not making the
Steelers. Steelers aren't going to make the playoffs. I don't think.
Well, they would need to beat the Ravens on Saturday Night Football, I think.
That ain't
or
going to
Sunday
happen.
Night Football,
I don't
whatever
think
it
it's
is.
going to happen.
All right, let's go to the next one here. Another Saturday game, which was the Ravens the Packers.
The Ravens
Take it away.
dominate Green Bay without Lamar. Very interesting. And then this one, I would say, with this big win, the Ravens make a statement that they are not through. And also to the prima donna Lamar Jackson that we can win without you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The Ravens
take.
got smart and leaned on Derrick Henry, who rushed for 216 yards on 36 carries and 4 touchdowns, one of his best performances of his career. They would be wise to stick with that winning formula against the Steelers on Sunday, in my opinion. Huntley also had 8 carries for 60 yards, so he can do a little bit of what Lamar Jackson does too. Green Bay lost its 3rd straight, enabling the Bears to clinch the NFC North. They lost for the 2nd straight week, in which they did not punt. That's only happened a couple times in NFL history. You lose 2 straight without punting in either game. It's kind of unheard of. Love did not play. He's still in the concussion protocol. It's Henry's 7th game with 200-plus yards, setting an NFL record. So I think that's the formula for the Ravens. Hand it to Derrick Henry. Hand it to Derrick Henry. You only have to hand it to him, what? Isn't it 15 times?
15 times.
15 times, and you do that, and you have your winning percentage is right up there.
It's near 70%.
And whether Lamar plays or not, I think it's more. In fact, I think the Ravens. I'm going to pick the Ravens to beat the Steelers. I'll say it right now. I think that they're on a roll. They didn't expect to be in this position. They thought they were done, and now they have a chance. They just go to Pittsburgh, win that game, and they're in the playoffs. So, and I think it's going to happen.
Wow. Well, I will say this. Tyler Huntley has been instrumental going up against the Chicago Bears after that Lamar injury designation debacle that cost the Ravens $100,000 by the NFL. He goes out, and by the way, that point spread moved from -7 Ravens to, I think, -2.5 Bears when they found out Lamar wasn't going to play. Lo and behold, Ravens dropped 30 points, and they beat them by 14. In this game, the point spread was -3 Packers. Then it somehow increased to -4.5 once Lamar, it increased to -4.5 when Lamar was questionable, and then dropped to -3.5 when Tyler Huntley was announced the starter. They win 41-24 in an instrumental game. I understand. Yeah. Malik Willis was the starting quarterback. PFF graded Malik Willis as the highest graded quarterback in the league for week 17. Tyler Huntley's been insane. In this season, he's 2-0. In the 2 games he started, 77% completion percentage, 80% completion percentage, 293 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Passer rating, well over 110. So Tyler Huntley's been very, very good, and I actually kind of agree with you. It's a bad look for Lamar. It's a really bad look for Lamar because you just had a bombshell report by the Baltimore Sun saying there's a rift between Harbaugh, the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson. And reportedly, Harbaugh is tired of Lamar, and he obviously denies that because obviously you would. Now the backup quarterback, Snoop Huntley, by the way, Pro Bowl quarterback Snoop Huntley, you could say that. He's going out there and absolutely balling, beating the Chicago Bears and beating the Green Bay Packers. So, by the way, 2 who were at one point playing for the number 1 seed in the NFC. So I think that this is a phenomenal win for them. We each picked the Packers in this one.
Yeah.
It was because we both thought the Packers are just the better team.
I thought it might be close, but I didn't think that the Ravens would blow them out.
Yeah, it was an ugly, ugly look for Green Bay.
Yeah.
Really bad. But what are you going to do? Malik Willis, your starting quarterback. People are praising him. I think he's okay. I don't think he's anything
I don't think
special.
he's bad.
He's nothing too special. There's a reason why he's not on the team that drafted him to be the starting quarterback.
Who do you think
anymore.
should start on Sunday, Huntley or Lamar Jackson?
I'm starting Huntley. You know why? Huntley at this current moment gives me a better chance to beat the Steelers. And by the way, historically, Lamar has been terrible against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, by the way, beat him earlier this year. So, again, I think Tyler Huntley gives you a better chance to win. I'm starting Tyler Huntley no matter what. Because if you want Lamar to be in a playoff game, which, by the way, also, Lamar playoff, historically, doesn't do very well.
No.
Do you start Tyler Huntley in a playoff game who almost beat Joe Burrow and the Bengals at one point? If it wasn't for a Sam Hubbard, 96-yard fumble return touchdown, I don't think Burrow, I think that might have been the year Burrow went to the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. Otherwise, he lost to Mahomes in the AFC Championship game then. It was either 21 or 22. So, Tyler Huntley, playoff game, nearly beat Joe Burrow and the Bengals. So, I think it'll be interesting. All right, let's go to Sunday's game now. Let's go to the next one, which is the Steelers at the Browns. Let's start with this one.
The Browns' defense was too much for Rodgers. The Steelers couldn't beat the hapless Browns in a must-win game. Now they are forced to play the Ravens for the division championship. Who gets the blame for this? And I will give you my answer here in a second. It was an ugly game with neither team doing much in this game, 13-6. The Steelers couldn't capitalize on Sanders' 2 interceptions. They ran the ball okay, 131 yards, but Rodgers had a dud with only 168 yards passing and no touchdowns. I put the blame on Mike Tomlin on this game. He didn't have his team ready to play, a team that was going nowhere, had nothing to play for, and he got beat by them. His team was not ready to play, and they didn't have a scheme to beat a 4-12 team. That's unacceptable. Garrett still needs 1 sack to break the record in the last week of the season. Do you think he gets it?
I think that's a really good question because it does seem, and I mentioned this a while ago, there was even a report out for this game, or after this game saying, or before the game saying the Steelers' game plan will be, just don't let Myles Garrett get this last sack on Aaron Rodgers. Hold him if you have to. Draw a penalty if you have to. And they kind of played like that. Rodgers getting the ball out in 2.1 seconds. He was just getting it out very, very quickly.
Yeah, well, he wasn't getting it out to anybody. He only had 168 yards, and they lost the game.
No, it was a terrible,
Even when
terrible
Sanders turned the ball over twice, they couldn't capitalize on that.
Correct. And now we're talking about a Steelers team that's going to go up against the Baltimore Ravens for the AFC North on the line. And I think there is a chance that they'd make it, and maybe not again. There's some, I don't want to give away my pick a little bit. There is some data out there that is in favor of the Steelers. because they're currently, I believe, home underdogs, which is not a good look for you if you're picking the Ravens. Mike Tomlin, home underdog, pretty damn good. But no, this was just an ugly, ugly game for the Steelers. They actually, I know people denying the report saying it's crazy. You put up 6 points against the Cleveland Browns. 6.
It's terrible.
6 points against the Cleveland Browns, led by Shedeur Sanders, who you just said threw 2 interceptions, who lost one of their better running backs for the season, Judkins, who have nobody offensively. That's what everybody's saying. Who is Shedeur Sanders throwing it to? It looked like they were playing to not get Myles Garrett that last sack. I know there's everybody's out. No. If you play this poorly, it really looks like you're not doing much. Rodgers is getting the ball out like lightning fast. I'll also say this. There's clips out there. I talked about it instantly. You throw it to Marquez Valdes-Scantling 3 straight times, same exact route concept against the same defensive back.
I know, that was
and on the final
no creativity at all.
On the final play, Kenneth Gainwell breaks open, wide open, middle of the field on like a quick in route. If Rodgers just dinks it to him, Steelers tie up the game, and they probably go into overtime.
Yeah.
Instead, Rodgers hike, turn right, throw it to MVS 3 straight times.
Well, you could say, I wonder how DK Metcalf feels about his suspension right now. If he'd been in that game down there on the goal line, and they tossed it up to him, he might have made one of those catches, exactly. At least 1 out of 3. You think he could have caught it 1 out of 3, right?
Let's go to the next one here, which is the Patriots at the Jets.
Yay. Maye shines with 5 TDs and blowout win. In this blowout of the Jets, Drake Maye's skills were on display for all to see. With Stafford playing lousy against the Falcons, I think Maye is the 2025 MVP.
Ooh.
Drake Maye, 19 of 21, 256 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, 157 quarterback rating. He didn't even play for half of the third quarter and all of the fourth quarter. 5 TDs on the first 5 drives of the game. Just shows you the Jets. They weren't there to play. They were, that says something about Aaron Glenn a little bit. The team they weren't ready to play. They didn't care. Pats 8-0 on the road. Not bad. They won the division with Buffalo's loss. They have a shot at the 1 seed. Maye, the third Patriots quarterback to pass for 4,000 yards in a season. We know who one of them is. Brady had 11 seasons with 4,000 yards, and Drew Bledsoe had 2. The hapless Jets have lost 4 in a row, each by 23 points or more. Huh? How bad is that down the stretch? The 5th team in NFL history to do so. Only 5 teams in history have had that bad a 4-game losing streak. Glenn, today was one time I feel like. Well, today was probably the one time I feel like our effort wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. What do you mean? You've only won 3 games this year. There's got to be some other times where the effort wasn't up to what you thought it should be. So we had a long discussion about Aaron Glenn, and I think this game kind of says it all about him.
Drake Maye set NFL history, tying the highest QBR, scale 0 to 100, since QBR has become a thing back in 2006. He ties Carson Palmer's game October 25th, 2009, ties Lamar Jackson 3 times, one of them being November 26th, 2019, November 10th, 2019, and December 25th, 2024, and Colin Kaepernick, October 27th, 2013, with a QBR of 99.8. Tom Brady's highest QBR, 10-21-07 against Miami, 99.7. Beats out Tom Brady for the highest QBR and ties, 5-6 other times where other QBs have had the highest QBR in ESPN history at a 99.8. So he was instrumental in this one. Here's the thing. I was talking to my brother, John, fan of the show, been on the show several times, about this game. They took out Drake Maye with like 8 minutes left in the third quarter. If I'm the Patriots and if I'm me, break the touchdown record. He could have easily thrown 3 more touchdowns. 100%. I would have broken the touchdown record. If that's me, though. I know that's a disrespectful thing. I know that's like dunking when you're up by 15 in an NBA game, or hitting a home run and dancing around the bases or whatnot, or swinging on a 3-0 count in baseball. I don't care. You're a bad team. Go break a record. Do something. I mean, technically you did break a record with the QBR thing, but you're at 5 touchdowns a little into the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's like Brady against the Titans back in, 2009, I think it was, when they were up 59-0. Brady has 5 touchdowns in a quarter, I think. He has 6 for the game. That's at like halftime. Go break the record. I think Drake Maye I think Mike Vrabel should have kept him in, broken the record. He had 12.2 yards an attempt. 12.2. Beyond the first down every time he threw the football.
I don't think he needed to break that record to make the statement that he's made this year, which is good enough for him to win the MVP.
Well, especially after Stafford's performance. My God.
Terrible.
Ugh.
We'll talk about the Rams in a few minutes.
Let's go with the next one here, which is the Saints at the Titans.
Shug and the Saints beat the Titans for the 4th win in a row. With 4 wins in a row, the Saints have shifted into high gear. With the star play of Tyler Shug, could he be the Rookie of the Year? I think there's a chance. Shug, 22 of 27, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Brought the team back from 10 down in the second half. He's found a winning connection with Chris Olave, who had 8 receptions for 119 yards and a touchdown. He's improved to 5-3 as a starter. He outplayed Ward, who was the number 1 pick in the 2025 draft. I think that he's the real deal, and the Saints should be building around him, and I think they'll be very competitive next year.
I said this last week. I don't think the Saints should be in the QB market.
No, I don't either.
I think, and again, Tyler Shuck, your first start is against the Rams. And I told you got to give him a grace period. It's against the Rams defense, when the Rams defense literally was unstoppable and Stafford was in his several touchdowns, no interception streak. I said, give him some time. And lo and behold, let's go back the last 4 games. So the winning streak. 71% completion percentage, 264.3 yards a game, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, a 102.9 passer rating.
He's good.
That is a phenomenal stat line.
Yeah.
71% completion percentage is ridiculous. So I think Tyler, by the way, the Saints are a terrible team. And yet he's putting up really, really good numbers.
They've won 4 in a row. They've won 6 games now.
Right.
If they beat the Panthers on no, it's who are they playing? They're playing. Who are they playing? No, they're playing the Falcons.
They beat
they
play
the Falcons on Sunday.
They swept
beat
Carolina.
Them, they'll have a 7-10 record. They weren't far out of being competitive in the NFC South, which will have likely have a winner of the division with a losing record. It's
like
crazy.
I've said for years, the NFC South is the worst division of football.
It has been for quite a while.
Yeah, I will say though, sweeping a potential playoff team, a probable now at this point, just based on the odds, probable playoff team in the Panthers, sweeping them, that's impressive in of itself. But we have to realize the Saints ruined the season for the Bucks. The Bucks, the Panthers, and just those 2 teams. You go up against them. The Bucks need to win this game. Saints beat them. The Panthers, if they win this game, they'll clinch the division because the Bucks lost. Panthers lose the game. Saints are just right now being a complete, screw you team. Now, they could cost the Panthers a playoff spot. They could do it again. They could screw them over 3 times.
Yeah.
If they beat the Falcons somehow, and the Bucks win, I
think the chances of the Bucks winning are probably not so great. I mean, they are playing at home. I guess that's a plus, but they played lousy at home.
Yeah.
And Baker Mayfield, my God, talk about a guy falling off a cliff at quarterback. It's
been rough.
He's fallen off a big cliff.
He's been one of the worst quarterbacks, I think, since week 8 or 10 or something like that. It's been really, really bad. Let's go to the next one here. The Jaguars at the Colts.
Yeah, the Jags close in on AFC South title with win. Jaguars 23, Colts 17. Despite our early season gripes, with his recent performances, Trevor Lawrence is living up to the hype. Lawrence, 23 of 37, 263, no touchdowns and an interception. He had 2 rushing TDs in this game. Parker Washington seems to have emerged as a star wide receiver, 8 catches for 115 yards. We've completely forgotten about Travis Hunter. Who was he? He was hurt how many weeks ago? A long time ago.
First, like, 6 weeks.
Nobody even. I've never heard his name mentioned since then. The Jags are 12-4 and can win the division with a win against the Titans on Sunday. The Texans play the Colts. They won 7 straight. On the other side of the ball, Rivers winless in his 3 attempts, although he was quite competitive. I think a lot of people rooting for him. I was one of them. And I don't think he has to hang his head, I mean, for what he was able to do coming in at 44 years old, and spent most of that 5 years he was retired laying on the couch. So I think to get off the couch and come out and play the way he did, pretty amazing. Colts, though, have lost 6 in a row and 7 of 8. Do they wish they had not traded for Sauce Gardner at this point, who wound up playing, 1 or 2 games for them and then wound up getting hurt? Where has Jonathan Taylor been? I mean, he has 21 for 70 in this game with 1 touchdown, but hey, he didn't step up the way Derrick Henry stepped up last week to keep his team in contention. And I think that says something.
Oh, I think that this was very, very obvious. I thought that the point spread coming down as much as it did to me made no sense whatsoever. And I'll give the Colts credit. They nearly at least covered. They were
ahead 10-0.
The game was competitive.
They were ahead 10-0 in this
right,
game.
and I just think that maybe the Jaguars didn't take a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers that seriously, and that's why you went down 10-0, and then you picked it up, especially in the third quarter. Trevor Lawrence played all right, not tremendous. Here's what I think a new aspect of his game is: running the football.
Yeah.
But it's not crazy runs. It's
running for touchdowns.
Exactly. It's impactful runs.
Yeah.
The game-winning touchdown against the Chiefs. He's had a rushing touchdown, I think, in every single game for like the last 5 or 6 weeks. He added 6 total touchdowns, I think, at one point. He had 2 rushing touchdowns in this one. I thought that adding a level of Trevor Lawrence's game, which is just impactful runs, is going to be interesting to see how well it transcribes over into the playoffs. Because think about recent performances of just back-breaking runs. Mahomes is known for that. Brock Purdy did that when he against the Lions and against the Packers in the playoffs. He had a couple big-time runs that was just absolutely crucial for him. What does this level of, maybe new level of Trevor Lawrence's game, what does that add for what the playoffs are going to be for the Jaguars, whoever they end up playing?
Yeah.
I
don't know. I think,
Sure.
Liam Cohen, you got to give him some credit.
Absolutely got to give him credit.
I mean, early in the season the way he did his deal with the Jaguars, leaving the Bucs, we beat up on him pretty badly for that, and it was not very ethical the way he did it. But he's got them winning, and they're probably very happy they have him as a head coach, and he's got an offense that now the team has finally started to learn, and now they're really very hard to beat. They haven't lost a game in 7 weeks.
Well, 100%. I'll also say the report today is, or it might have been yesterday, I think it was today, Phillip Rivers will be taking a seat for Riley Leonard, just because it makes sense. Your season's done. You're not making the playoffs. Riley Leonard's going to be out there to learn, I guess. So, Phillip Rivers will be does he come back? Does he come back, you think, Rivers?
I don't think so.
No, okay. I think it was fun to watch him.
He might try. Maybe he'll go to preseason. Maybe he'll
go to the Jets. Go to the Jets. Be 45 years old and just sling it. You have nothing to lose besides maybe your head. Yeah. But, it's okay. Sling the ball. The Jets need a little bit of excitement.
I'm not sure his arm is much for slinging. I mean, he doesn't have much on it.
That first game was bad
like
against the Seahawks.
Duck out there.
Although I will say, that second game where he threw like 277, there's a little bit of zip.
Yeah.
The first game against the Seahawks, those were sitting ducks. Though that was like you and I
give him a lot of credit.
Oh, 100%. 44 years old, 5 years out of the... You ruined...
He's a grandfather.
Yeah. But I will say, I do think it's actually partially smart on his Hall of Fame chances. Because he would have been up against Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers in the Hall of Fame. Now we don't know. There's going to be a lull.
Drew Brees.
No, Drew Brees, sorry. Yeah, Drew Brees and Eli Manning. There's going to be a lull now of who's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback soon. That is eligible in, 2030.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe that was the right move for him.
I think it'll be interesting. All right, let's go with the next one here, which is the Buccaneers at the. Oh, jeez. Okay.
Mayfield throws another fourth quarter
Yikes.
interception as the Bucs lose. Bucs 17, Dolphins 20. But an upset victory and 14-22, 172 and 2 DDs performance by Quinn Ewers. He can toot his own horn. I also think this means Tua will be gone.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's gone now. Quinn Ewers has shown that he can play. Miami improved to 7-9, which I think saves McDaniel's job. Ewers looks like he can be the starter next year. We'll see what he does against the Patriots this week. That'll be his biggest challenge yet. Baker Mayfield throws his third straight interception in the fourth quarter to cost the Bucs a chance to win. This one was into double coverage. Why he threw that ball is beyond me. I mean, even I would have known. Don't throw that ball down there. Two guys standing on either side of the receiver. There was no chance for him to complete it. I don't know. Why did he throw it? After a fast start and MVP talk, he's been a disaster the past 7 weeks. And the reason, I think, the major reason why the Bucs are now looking like they might not even make it.
Yeah. No, I understand the grace. After starting 5-1, the Bucs are now 2-8. Baker Mayfield has thrown 60% completion percentage, 195.1 passing yards a game, 13 touchdowns, 9 picks, a passer rating of 79.4. Since week 7, Baker Mayfield statistically
those interceptions
has arguably been the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, those interceptions. I mean, come on, he's just throwing it right to guys. I've watched those games, and every one of those games they had a chance to win. And early in the season, they were winning them. 100%. Now you can count on him to throw an INT.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield in that time frame, the last 10 games, has only 3 games without an interception. The first 6 games where he went 5-1, 12 touchdowns, 1 pick, 1 singular pick. So, yeah. I mean, Baker Mayfield, the last since week 7, has been statistically the worst quarterback in the NFL. Worse than any, maybe Brady Cook, maybe. But Baker has fallen off a cliff. Quinn Ewers, I gotta give him props. He played his heart
out there. He looks good out there. He looks like he knows what he's doing too. He looks like he's in control. I'd say for a guy just coming off the bench and played it all, and a rookie, they got to be pretty happy with what he's done.
Well, it depends how you look
think
at
it's the end of Tua. This is the end of him.
I think regardless of what Quinn Ewers would have done, I think
they've seen what the Broncos did. They gave up on Russell Wilson. It cost them a fortune. But now look where they are. They're beating for a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Miami could do the same thing.
Interesting. All right, let's go to the next one here, which is the Seahawks at the Panthers. What a bad
Seattle
pick by
keeps rolling toward NFC number 1 seed with win. Seahawks 27, Panthers 10. This game shows to me the NFC South is a joke, and the Panthers has shown the door. In their biggest game yet, Bryce Young was 14 of 24 for 54. 54 yards. That's all he passed in this game against the Seahawks. Nobody wants to win the NFC South. That's how I look at it. And whether it's the Panthers or the Bucs, I predict they will be a blowout. They get blown out in the first game of the playoffs. Just to show you how ridiculous the division is, if the Bucs win on Sunday, it still could result in the Panthers winning the division if the Falcons beat the Saints, which is entirely possible. So we'll have to wait until Sunday's over to see whether it's the Bucs or the Panthers. But I think the Panthers ought to go in and beat the Bucs and just be done with it, because the way the Bucs have played is an embarrassment the second half of the season, both their defense and Baker Mayfield. Seattle is cruising, and the winner of their game against the 49ers will have the NFC 1 seed. So that's going to be a good game to watch.
Yeah, I thought I had the Panthers going plus 7.5. Hell, I had the Panthers upsetting the Seahawks because I thought the Seahawks were looking ahead at next week against the Niners for the number 1 seed in the NFC. But this was really bad. I expected Bryce Young to be better than, like you said, 54 yards. That's
54 yards.
That's Justin Fields' level of bad. Justin Fields got shown the door to an injury-prone quarterback and an undrafted rookie free agent, and he probably will get released, even though he has $30 million guaranteed. No, I thought this was a terrible game. I thought the Panthers, they started off fine. This game was decently back and forth. And then ultimately, when you have your quarterback who's not throwing really at any level, screw effective level, any level at all that's respectable, yeah, you're going to lose this game. And ultimately, they did. Because Bryce Young wasn't doing anything. So what happens to the offense? When you don't even have a little bit, a tiny, tiny bit of a balanced offense, defenses can guess, and they're going to be right. And they did a very good job at limiting Rico Dowdle. Chuba Hubbard was a non-factor, and Bryce Young was probably, I haven't checked the EPA, but he probably was negative a lot in EPA per dropback. So congratulations to the Seahawks. I can't believe Sam Darnold is one of like 5 quarterbacks go back-to-back 13-win seasons. Like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and I think Brett Favre or something like that. Like he's amongst insanely good company. And this is a guy who bounced around the league, who played for the Jets, said he was seeing ghosts.
Some quarterbacks,
Panthers.
it takes them a while to get it together and play well, and Darnold's one of them.
I do feel good. I
think he's for real. I really think he's for real. Particularly the way he came back in the game against the Rams and beat them.
Yes.
I think that said a lot about him and his character and his resilience and his determination and his motivation. I think that said something to the team as well.
All I got to say is wait for the playoffs. If he goes out and plays well in a playoff game, then
I'd love
yes,
to
this
see
is
him win a
backed up.
playoff game.
I
think
would
it'd
as
be
well.
great.
100% as well. All right, let's go to the next one here, which is the Cardinals at the Bengals.
Burrow throws for 306 and 2 TDs and an easy win. The Bengals win big, but it's too little too late, as their horrible defense and Burrow's injury this year determined their fate. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase connect for 2 TDs, and the offense is what we expected it would be at the beginning of the year, but it's another lost season for the Bengals, who wind up they're 6-10 now. Who knows whether they'll win the last game of the season? Doesn't matter. Trey McBride is really the only bright spot for the Cardinals in a season where they are 3-13. I think Gannon will be fired for sure. And I think Zach Taylor and the GM for the Bengals also should be fired for fielding such a poor defense 2 years in a row.
Well, that's what happens when you have a cheap organization. You pay. Here's the thing: they only paid T. Higgins and Jamar Chase because Burrow was very public about that.
Right.
The defense is abysmal. You can't. Here's the thing: you don't pay players when they're good. Trey Hendrickson's going to be shown the door, which he already was. He's given up on the team. They wouldn't pay him after he had back-to-back 17.5 sack seasons. And by the way, the next highest had 8 sacks over that same time frame of like the last 2-3 years. 35-8. That was the gap between the two of them. Offensively, the offensive line is not that great. The defense is non-existent. And I think Zach Taylor, he's an okay coach. You just need somebody who's better. I think this team just needs...
Is he an okay coach, you think?
I think he's all right.
I mean, look at the games that they could have won.
Well,
I mean, the Bengals,
the
they had some games that they had the
lost to
game.
the Jets.
That somehow they managed to lose it. I don't know.
The Bears game they lost.
Yeah.
Colson Loveland, the massive touchdown. They lost to the Jets. I mean, yeah, no, I'd say no. Zach Taylor is an all right coach. Am I putting him anywhere near the top 10 or top 15? Probably not. Definitely not top 10. Top 15, you may argue, because Joe Burrow is really helping his case. Joe Burrow is saving Zach Taylor his job if he somehow is retained. Right now, I understand. Contractually, I think he's there until 2027. I don't think if you're an owner and your team is going nowhere and Joe Burrow is making these public comments about him not being happy playing football anymore, and earlier in the season, if we remember, Chase Brown in the offense was attacking the defense for losing to the Jets after the offense put up like 38 points, you got to have somebody. You have to have a figurehead in the locker room. And I think right now, maybe with the way Joe Burrow is playing, maybe that saves Zach Taylor his job. But I think ultimately, no. I think Zach Taylor should be fired. Duke Tobin. There's too much liking from ownership, general manager. There's too many people who are maybe not objective. They're buddy too much.
Yeah, well, I think that I said this earlier in the season. I think it's a mistake for the front office to be listening to a player about what they should do with contracts. And they listened to Joe Burrow, and they gave these 2 big contracts to Chase and Higgins. And now look where it got them. They're another lost season.
By the way, that went viral, I might add. All right, let's go to the next one here, which is, oh, Lord, the Giants at the Reds. The 2 teams that couldn't tank harder. What a game.
Raiders steal number 1 pick in the draft from the Giants in a win. We already knew what Dart could do, so why let him play and win, costing the G-men the first pick in the draft? The Giants have no clue. They have had no clue for quite a number of years now. And losing a meaningless game, the Raiders were the big winners, as they will likely get the first pick in the draft. Interim head coach Kafka is an embarrassment and a disaster. He would have been better off refusing to take the interim role. Then we wouldn't know how poorly he really is. And he's had some interviews to be a head coach elsewhere. I don't think he'll ever get another one. The Raiders will have their choice of Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore, or Ty Simpson. All three could be franchise quarterbacks in this league. Pete Carroll will be one and done. Geno Smith and Ashton Jeanty a bust this year. Another lost season for both the Giants and the Raiders.
Well, Geno Smith is doing his best New York Jets Geno Smith impression this year. He has been horrible. And the only reason you paid $33 million, I think he's getting paid around $30 million a year, to take him away from the Seahawks, was because you had Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew as your quarterback, and one time Jimmy Garoppolo. This is worse than all three of them combined. Like, Geno Smith has been terrible. He had one game where he played great. I think right now, this is going to be a one and done, I feel like, in a lot of cases.
Oh, doesn't Geno Smith have a 3-year deal?
Sadly. Hey, by the way, again, don't know why teams do this. Or I guess it's based on the contract, but they gave him a 2-year extension before he took a snap for the team. I don't like that. The last person who did that with kind of like that trade thing was Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Gave him a 5-year deal. He lasted 2. So, no, I think Geno Smith is terrible. They're going to go out and get a quarterback. And I will also say, unfortunately, you were a big proponent of this way back when. Sorry to say, 73-year-old Pete Carroll, it's probably going to be out of here. One and done.
Yeah, I feel bad for Pete Carroll.
Tom Brady also deserves some blame. I think he liked Pete Carroll.
They could have had Belichick. He would have taken that job.
I
don't think they'd
think
be
about
this
that
bad.
dynamic, though.
I really don't think they would have been this bad. The defense would have played a lot better.
Think about the dynamic, though. Tom Brady, a former player, is now a partial owner of the Raiders, so he basically is above Belichick. I don't know if that dynamic would have worked.
I think Belichick would have been okay with that to get a head coaching job in the NFL.
Well, now he's losing in North Carolina. And by the way, I admit that Freddie Kitchens, he was the OC of the Carolina Tar Heels.
He got fired there,
He got fired, hey.
I think he ought to call it a career.
Okay,
onward.
Let's go. The Eagles at the Bills. What a game.
The Bills gamble and lose on 2-point try. Boneheaded call by McDermott and missing an open Shakir on 2-point try by Allen cost the Bills a game they could have won. The Eagles, on the other hand, looked like they were out there having fun. Why risk going for it with a 2-point play when you have all the momentum? And the Eagles had only 17 yards in total in the second half. A senseless call by McDermott. The only thing I could figure was he was tired of standing there in the rain. And he probably wanted the fans to be able to get out of the rain too. So he went for it, went for that. So the game was going to end either way, whether they got it or not. And then Allen, he botched what would have been the winning play with a poor throw. But throwing it poorly in that weather, I mean, that was the weather was horrible there. It's not. I guess you can't really blame him totally on that because it was just a bad environment to be trying to do that in. The Eagles are setting up nicely now for the playoffs, while the Bills may be destined to repeat past losses with poor coaching.
No, I'm 100% blaming Josh Allen on that one. That one wasn't even really a pressured throw. He just missed it. He was leaning left, running left, and threw it 50 yards left.
Yeah.
He was wide open. I mean, you and I can make that throw with the amount of...
I don't know if I could.
The amount of distance between Shakir and the nearest defender.
I know.
He was wide open. That was the game. And they somehow absolutely botched. I'll also say, your offense puts up 0 points through basically 3.5 quarters against the Eagles team with no identity.
The Eagles have a good defense.
The Eagles have no identity. Their offense is literally, it implodes. A.J. Brown in the media. Jalen Hurts is really too monotone. Nick Sirianni doesn't want to deal with it.
No, but their running game has come alive now.
Against a bad Bills running defense.
No, but it's been good the last 3 weeks.
I don't think it's going to be good.
I think they're coming into their own here at the right time.
I
don't think it's the team of 23. I think
Jalen Hurts
different.
was terrible in this game against a bad Bills defense. Josh Allen was bad against an Eagles team that record-wise is fine. Nobody believes in him. Zero, I guarantee you poll anybody outside of Philly. Say, hey, give me a confidence level in the Philadelphia Eagles. What's the percentage that people would say 6 and above? I don't think it's near 50%. I think it's below that, actually. So, again, good win for the Eagles. Congratulations. Kick the damn extra point. Yes, there's a chance it gets blocked again. Or there's a chance you make it and go into overtime. Maybe that.
They should have kicked the extra point.
I think that
I think
going
it was a huge mistake.
When coaches do that,
the Eagles are doing
nothing.
Get it. The Eagles are doing nothing on offense.
Yeah.
Right? 17 yards in the second half.
0 points in the second half. Again, that's another game where they don't score in the second half. And you're telling me you have confidence in this team? No points in the second half. It was bad. All right, but you know what? Eagles get the win. I guess that's the only thing that matters to A.J. Brown, right, is to win. Actually, no, it doesn't matter to him. It matters to Jalen Hurts and the rest of the team. Yeah. A.J. Brown wants the numbers.
His stats, yeah.
All right, let's go to the one here. Oh, wait, yours then. We don't have a graphic for that, so let's go with your next one.
Oh, yeah, okay. So the Bears, 38, the 49ers, 42. This was a shootout. The 49ers win a shootout and surprisingly have a shot at the number 1 seed. Who would have thought that with all the injuries they've had? Brock Purdy looks good, and McCaffrey has the speed. McCaffrey, I can't believe how well he's played. Last year, he was injured most of the year because he couldn't even walk, right? He had something wrong with his legs that prevented both legs. Yep. What was it? It was some tendonitis or something in his legs?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And he was out for most of the season. But look at him this year. Purdy, 24-33, 303 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception. McCaffrey, 23 for 140 and 1 touchdown. And one of his runs was an amazing run. He eluded 3 or 4 tacklers, went right down the field, didn't get the touchdown, but it was an amazing run. If the 49ers beat the Seahawks this week, capture the 1 seed, they have a good chance, I think, to make it to the Super Bowl. How can McCaffrey play so well when he couldn't even walk last year? I don't get it. Salah's defense has made us forget about Bosa and Warner. Could this game be a preview of the NFC Championship game? Ooh. Could there be the Bears and the 49ers again in another shootout? It's possible.
No, I'll say this is a very entertaining game. I will fault the Bears on one thing, though. I understand there's been levels of success with Ben Johnson, with Ben Johnson's offenses with a 1-2 punch combo. Here's the difference: DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai are not Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. You look at the numbers. Who was the more effective running back? It was DeAndre Swift by a mile. And am I a little bit salty because I had a DeAndre Swift over 60.5 rushing yards? Yes, I am. But I also have a little bit of I also have a little bit of support behind it because DeAndre Swift was by far the better running back. But he was like one drive, Swift, one drive, Monangai, the other drive, Swift, another one, Monangai. DeAndre Swift was the more effective running back. If you're going to run the football, put the best guy out there. Don't keep your system of gotta have one out there, then the other one, and then I'm not saying that cost him the game, but I will say this.
It cost you or you bet.
It did? Oh, it was a beautiful. I hit every single. I think I had 5 leg. I hit 4 out of the 5. The one I didn't hit was DeAndre Swift. He had 54 yards. I needed 7 more yards. Thanks. But yeah, 6 yards a carry and 2 touchdowns, and you're still playing Kyle Monangai, who had 4.8 yards a carry, but he had 8 carries, 38 yards. I don't know. I thought, Caleb Williams played fine. Brock Purdy was really, really good. Like you mentioned, Christian McCaffrey, my God. People saying he's not a Hall of Fame candidate yet.
I don't know about that.
I partially agree because of the injury history.
We got to get a Super Bowl win.
If we focus on just when he's out there, he has been, again, people were placing Brock Purdy's MVP status a couple years ago. I think, and I've argued this always, watch the game. Who's the guy that makes the biggest impact? Is number 23 in the backfield, or out wide, or in the slot? He's everywhere. He's doing 140. He just had 27 touches last game. He had 23 in this one, carries, and 4 catches for 41 yards. 181 total yards. He's an absolute monster.
I think Shanahan should get Coach of the Year consideration.
He won't. Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson are kind of running away with it. So
Yeah.
I do think, though, Kyle Shanahan should, he deserves more recognition. And this game isn't great based on the numbers, but if we look at just what they were versus what they are, Robert Saleh, and that's maybe a coach, if he wasn't formerly employed by the Jets should have looked into.
Well, he'll have a shot at the head coaching job again for sure.
But I guarantee you the Jets and Woody Johnson are not going to even think about Robert Saleh bringing him back.
Oh, no, not the Jets.
But I'm saying, if Robert Saleh was
there's going to be
never...
a lot of firings. There's going to be a lot of jobs opening.
Right. But what I'm saying is, like, if Robert Saleh was never employed by the Jets, wouldn't Robert Saleh be the perfect candidate for today's Jets?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
A culture builder who his entire defense is banged up, making something out of very, very little.
He's definitely head and shoulders over Aaron Glenn.
I would agree with that. All right, let's go to the final one you have, which should be, was it? Yeah,
last night's game.
Rams at the Falcons. Wow.
Yeah, Rams 24, Falcons 27. What happened to the Rams and Stafford? Losing to the Falcons was a big surprise and was enough to make Rams fans cry. And me too, because 3 weeks ago I thought the Rams were the best team in football, and Stafford was the MVP. Now they're 11-5. On the road, they're 5-4. And Stafford's throwing interceptions right and left, 3 in this game.
One of them got
They
pick
need
six.
to get Devontae Adams back. I think that's a factor for them. And the defense has got to start stopping the run. Bijan Robinson, 195 yards last night on 22 carries and a touchdown. I still think Raheem Morris should be fired after the game on next Sunday.
Wow. Well, yeah, I think that this was a shocking game. Bijan Robinson ran all over a defense that, again, we've said for several weeks.
Kirk Cousins had a pretty good game.
You're still riding high on that.
How come you didn't start Kirk Cousins all season? How come? Why?
Because they went into the season saying, he's our guy.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Michael Penix.
Penix, he didn't play that well last year at the end.
He played 3 games. It wasn't great, yeah.
He didn't play great.
Yeah.
They didn't make the playoffs, right? So why wasn't there a competition between the two?
That was the whole argument in the offseason.
Why not have a competition and see who played better and then start him? Because if you'd started Kirk Cousins all year, you probably would have won the NFC South. You had no competition there.
Maybe. Especially with the Panthers being the Panthers, the Bucs falling apart. The Saints weren't good up until the last 4 games.
Yeah.
And
the Saints didn't start Shug soon enough.
Well, yeah, I agree with that.
Right.
Well, but again,
they stuck with Spencer Rattler, who won 1 game in his tenure as starter.
I think he has like 12, 13 games. He's won 1 game.
Yeah, 1.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was against the New York Giants. I think that was his only win.
His only win.
Yeah. No, I thought this was incredibly impressive. That was our big thing, though. I don't care. Maybe if you actually did a competition and Michael Penix comes up on top, so be it. To go in immediately and say Michael Penix is our starting quarterback for 2025, that made no sense because you paid Kirk Cousins $100 million guaranteed to be what should have been the backup. Michael Penix goes down with a season-ending injury. All of a sudden now the Falcons, and by the way, Kirk Cousins against the Buccaneers, that's an easy win, 500-yard games. I mean, it's ridiculous. I thought Kirk Cousins was fine against a really good defense, 13 of 20 for nearly 130 yards and a touchdown. I mean, it's fine. It's nothing tremendous.
He didn't turn the ball over.
That's the big thing. And I think that's partially why you went into this year saying Penix is our guy, because the last 5 games, he had like 1 touchdown,
Kirk
7
Cousins
picks
is
last year?
smart enough to know we stick with what's working, right?
Yeah.
Running the ball where Bijan Robinson was working, so they did it.
Yeah. I mean, good for them. David Sills the 5th was their leading receiver. 3 catches, 37 yards. But it didn't matter. Bijan had nearly 200 yards rushing.
Yeah.
So, hey, that's a massive win for the Falcons. The Rams, though. This cost the Rams the potential 1 seed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So-
they have no shot at the 1 seed now with 5 losses.
It's rough out there. But, yeah, that wraps
They
up.
need to get Devontae Adams back. That was
He
the
re-aggravated
factor.
that hamstring injury. So,
Yeah.
who knows, when he'll be back. But, yeah, I thought this is a game you can't lose. You can't lose. I will say, though, on that.
Makes me question Sean McVay a little bit.
Oh, no. I think this team will be fine. It's had some weird.
Did you
losses.
see the catch that Nakua
I
almost
was
made
just
there?
about to say that. Yeah,
one-handed, leaning out of bounds, its toes touching.
Yeah.
And the guy knocked it out a little bit. He regained control, but he was out of bounds when he landed.
It was an insane. It was a one-handed catch, and as he was bringing it in,
the best catch of the year if it was a catch.
Oh, I agree with that. All right, well, that does wrap it up for today's show and your weekly report. We'll be back on Friday night to do, by the way, no Thursday game. Last Thursday was the last Thursday game. Week 18. Regular season's over.
It's amazing. How could it be?
Week 18. It's literally right here.
How's it gone by so fast?
Hey, that's what happens. Time flies when you're having fun. The NFL season's always fun.
Two fun games to watch this on Saturday, right?
Yep.
The Ravens and the Steelers.
Yep.
And the Panthers and the Bucks, they were on Saturday.
Oh, no,
too.
sorry. Saturday is the Seahawks at the Niners.
Oh, Seahawks at the Niners.
But
well, that's a big game.
That's the number one seed game.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting to watch. Bucks Panthers to start that off on ESPN. It's going to be interesting to see. That's for I would say it's for the NFC South, but the Bucks need so much. They need two teams to lose. Yeah. Even if they win, they may not even make it.
That's right.
That's ridiculous.
They don't deserve to make it.
Ooh.
They don't deserve to make it the way they've fallen apart. Not just the defense,
going 2-8 and somehow
their quarterback taking a dive. I just it's unacceptable.
Going 2-8 and limping into the playoff. Not even limping. You're crawling. You're crawling. All right, but yeah, that does wrap it up for today's show. So we'll be back on Friday to discuss all of Week 18's situation. Any news that breaks. The Aaron Glenn news is interesting. There's some, off-season news that's obviously coming up. What are the Dolphins going to do with Tua? Hall of Fame finalists have dropped today. I'm sure, we'll discuss that and make our predictions on who the 2026 Hall of Fame class will be. So we'll talk about that at some point. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We have been your co-hosts of the Harvey Hour. You can catch us Friday night right here on YouTube.
Hi, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN,